It's been 20 years since Supergrass have released Road to Ruin. And last week, they dropped their 20th anniversary edition. Today, we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail. We also asked the question as to whether we think this is their best album. I like to think that it is. Al, good morning to you. Hope everything is well. Let's just start. What does this album mean to you?
Good question, mate. Geez, 20 years, these albums are starting to make me feel old when we start looking at their impact and what they still mean 20 years on. And this would definitely be one for me that I pull out now and then and really takes me back to, I guess, that time and a place where, I don't know, things were a bit more innocent in our lives and we were listening to Pink Floyd's Animals. And then this curveball of an album came out, mate, which I was not expecting. I must give you credit. You put it on first and made me listen to it. But the first song, Tales of Endurance, I was just like, what is this, mate? This is next level. And then kicking into St. Petersburg. And I think it's worth a deep discussion around what this means 20 years on, mate. It means a lot to me. Where do we start your end?
Well, from my end, I think if for people who don't really understand this album, it's a very different Supergrass album, yep. Right? So there's a lot of grief. So Gaz Coombs' mother passed away around about this period. A lot of the songs are a lot more, I'll say that they're a lot more somber. There's a lot more storytelling going along. Less swagger, right? Less swagger. Like the songs that I think they became known for before this time. You talk about Mary, Sun Hits the Sky. They just go really well in a concert setting. And in fact, I saw them just recently with the 30th anniversary of I Should Coco. They didn't play any of the songs in that set list. And I don't think they've played too many of the songs in the world tour that they ended up completing. So that does say something about this album, that we've really got 9 tracks. It's full of album tracks, basically. But all of them are I think are really amazing and then really addictive, I guess, as you walk through. So it's effectively 35 minutes and it sort of demands your listen. And I'm not unsurprised. There's a lot of fans of this album and a lot of people who say that this is probably one of their best. But let's talk about the songs. Now, you mentioned Tales of Endurance. There's many more highlights, right?
Oh, absolutely, mate. We can start there and then it kicks on to the radio-friendly St. Petersburg. And I'm interested about that whole conversation about this album. Was it ever going to be radio friendly? It's coming, Gaz came out talking about the comment about being commercial suicide. I think the album, I call it a headphones album, mate. We mentioned this a few times on the show, when it's an album that you have to listen from start to finish to really become immersed in it. For me, Tales of Endurance, my second favourite song is Finn, which is the final song off the album. And I'm hinting that's probably a little bit about their mother that passed away. I'm not 100% sure. But then St. Petersburg, Low C, and for me, one of my favourites is Roxy, mate. Are there any others on
Roxy,
there?
I love Roxy.
I knew you would call on that one, mate. What else have you
pinched that one? You just pinched that one.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Yeah, Roxy. Yeah. Well, Roxy, I was going to mention Roxy. I like Sad Girl, but like you could just go across the field. You could just put a bet on the whole field. So now there's been the 20th anniversary release of the album. Often the remasters don't really show up all that much, and I'd like to say that's probably, I'm not really hearing anything too more with this. You don't really get that with these albums, but the bonus tracks you get from it, I thought were really interesting. Al, did you find any nuggets? Did you see anything different from these bonus tracks that the band had released?
Oh, I think "Don't Leave Me Alone" is an absolute cracker of a song. That by itself is fantastic. Hyacinth House, mate. I reckon that's probably one I reckon that's one that you would love. I thought that was pretty good too. That's a Doors cover, I believe. And I mean,
it is.
In terms of what else you're getting, I believe with the CD, you get the remastered in the second CD, all the live versions and kind of rarities of that time, which alone is worth a listen to. I mean, you've got to remember they were still playing their hits during this time, but what's important to remember was during this time of this album, the band weren't in that kind of place to be writing pop songs, really. And that becomes a bigger conversation. But I think this is probably one purchase that's kind of worth it, because it's not going too much down the rabbit hole of bonus and extras and $300 for 4 LPs kind of thing. I think it's a reasonably priced anniversary. What do you think, Matt?
I think so, and I think that the Débranché sessions. I'm sure that someone's going to pop me
I'm
for
glad
not
you said that, Matt.
pronouncing
I
it
couldn't
correctly.
pronounce it.
Well, it's apparently unplugged in
Yep.
French, so there
Right.
you go. But
Yeah.
so that's where you get the hyacinth. I think I pronounced that right. House, but I mean that song alone is worth almost that last that bonus section by itself. I could have actually seen them
Yeah.
putting that as the last track of the album, like, because it really fits the tone of the album. And I listened to the Doors version of that song, and they're kind of different songs. You can sort
Yeah.
of understand how it is a Doors cover, but they make it their own. So really good to listen to. The other tracks from the sessions, you can see how it paints a picture of some of the songs of the album, but also of some of their earlier songs. So they play Sun Hits the Sky and they play Grace.
Yep.
And you can tell the band is a lot more somber than what they were. So it's coming through in those types of sessions. So really, really worth checking out. And Don't Leave Me Alone, I think you've mentioned that, and I
Yeah.
think people have heard that in the past few months. So really worth checking out, as you mentioned. But the ultimate question is, do we think that this is their best album? And I'd like to say that it is. And I think that's no disrespect to the other albums, but I feel as if this is a full album. I think that the other albums that they've got certainly got better hits, probably better songs in a concert arena setting, but I like to probably say that this is pretty much it, and it's the one that I go back to the most. What about yourself?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more, mate. I mean, I kind of play the greatest hits, and then I also play this as a standalone album. And I guess if you compare it to other artists that kind of did similar kind of things, you've got Radiohead releasing Kid A, Beck with Sea Change. You know, there was a once-off kind of album where the band members were in a certain time and period of their lives and produced something that really represented that. And I think for me, that's why I like to go back to these kind of albums. And I throw back to you, mate, another question. Where would Supergrass be now? And yes, they kind of retired and they came back. But if they didn't do this album, would they have actually kept on going in general to produce Diamond Hoo Ha Man and other albums and songs? I don't know if they would have, mate. I reckon if they had done another kind of a hits kind of album, they might have petered out, because they were kind of petering out anyway, to be honest, if we remember before.
Yeah. My view on it is that this particular album is a template for Gaz Coombs' solo career.
Yeah, okay.
Amazing album. And if you listen to some of Gaz Coombs' solo records, and we have on the show recently, very much sets the tone of it. I mean, I'd like to almost think, if they continue to go down this direction, what people would think of the band, because it's almost, it's a lot more serious than the previous albums. And it's almost in a similar way. I feel as if it might be seen in a similar way as to how people look at radio, for instance. They're sort of more of a serious band, as opposed to a band that has, swagger, and they love to entertain, which is really probably what people know of Supergrass today. So I like to sort of think, they could have gone and continued down this direction. Whether that would have been successful for them, not so sure. But very interesting conversation, a very interesting question. But let us know what you think. Do you really love this album? I'm hoping there's a lot of people out there that can show some love for this album like we have. Do you think it's their best album of all time? It's a very interesting question. They've got quite a few decent albums. Let us know in the comments. Let us know your thoughts.